good morning, good evening, and good night, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Sly Report. I am your host, Goldie Rangs, and this is the news on One Piece, chapter 1111. And I'm gonna give it to you straight. So, without further ado, let's get into the news. And so, we start this chapter with Saint Mars, which in a manner that can best be described as somehow getting through the Labo phase barrier. Now Jinbei, he sees this and he's like, what's going on? What's happening? What's this unreal hockey that I'm feeling right now? But ever one to stay on task, Jinbei turns his attention to Zoro and he's like, hey man, let's get out of here. The fight's over. It's time to go. To which Zoro replies, nah, fight ain't over. My guy's still standing. We cut to Rob Lucci, and indeed he is still standing, though heavily injured. And when I say heavily injured, this man is bleeding. Bleeding. And though he is still standing, he is immobile. He cannot move. This does not stop him from making unwarranted threats. He growls at these niggas. We're getting real animalistic, getting into his leopard bag. To which Jinbei responds with, hey man, you won this fight, to Zoro. He grabs him and he's like, we have to go now. And then he proceeds to raise a smoke screen while also doing a 5,000 brick fist attack, the shockwaves of which brings Lucci down to his knees and back into his human form. Now, Zoro and Jinbei are gone. Lucci's on the ground, panting. He's on, realistically, I would say he's on death's door if he was not in Awakened Zone. If he did not have Awakened Zone recovery, I would say he's on death's door. And even still, this man is still not moved from the spot. He just went down to his knees. He can no longer maintain his Awakened Zone form. So, Lucci's down around. And this is when Saint Mars pulls up on Rob Lucci, and he's like, ayo, Rob Lucci, my guy, where's York? And this is when Lucci proceeds to get to delivering his report. Lucci is like, hey, so check this out. The two that just left, that's Roronoa Zoro, and Jinbei, first son of the sea. Both of them are Straw Hat Pirates. There are 5 other Straw Hat Pirates on this level. There is also 2 Vegapunks. York is on the 4th floor of Building A, still tied up. There's 6 minutes left for Vegapunk's message. And the Straw Hats are trying to escape off the back of the island. I believe this is all the news he gives him. Oh no, he also says that there are 85 CP agents, along with 4 Seraphim, trapped in the basement. And he gives Mars all this news, and Mars is like, you know what? You did a good job. You reported what you had to report. I don't even have any more questions for you because you did such a fantastic job. And then he's about to fly off. Saint Mars about to fly off. And then Lucci's like, wait, one more thing. I have my partner up there. He's been heavily injured. If you could find it in your heart to spare my boy Kaku, I would be greatly appreciative. Now, he doesn't say this word for word, but this is the vibe I'm getting off. And honestly, I respect Lucci for this. I have not respected the unearned and undeserved confidence he's moved through this arc with. But him riding or dying for Kaku, him even speaking up and saying, hey, could you please spare my nigga? That's a stand-up act right there. And I will give respect where respect is due, and I respect that. But Saint Mars and me are two different people. Because Saint Mars is like, hey, that might not be possible because it's hard to distinguish a lone insect when you about to exterminate the hive. That's a hard bar. That's a hard bar, and it's completely disrespectful to a nigga that's asking you to spare his homie when you go take out the ops. But this is the end of this particular section. We will move forward because there is a lot more things that happen, and I will give you the rundown on those things. So please stay tuned. We'll be right back to continue this breakdown of chapter 1111. Stay tuned. We then cut to Luffy, Dory, and Brocky. And Luffy and the Giants, they just laughing it up, having a good time, conversating like, hey man, it's been a while. I ain't seen you in about 2 years. What's going on with you? What's happening? I'm surprised to see you here. The Giants are like, hey man, what's good with you? I'm liking the new look. You look like one of our deities. How did you even find out about that? And Luffy's like, man, I don't know what you're talking about. But I am glad to see y'all. We can talk about this other stuff a little bit later. You know what I'm saying? Right now, we gotta deal with this. So the Giants are like, true. And they look upon the elders who are present, and they're like, wow, look at these beasts. They remind me of the beasts we hunt in the forest of Elbaf. And Luffy is like, yeah, that's cool and all, but just remember, we're not here to fight. The goal is to escape. And they're like, yeah, we know. We heard it from Sanji. We know the plan, you know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, Sanji told us to tell you that, hey, this the meeting spot. We finna meet up over there. And, we just came to, help out. We heard what was going on the news. So we decided, hey, that ain't nothing but a hop, skip, and a jump over that way. Let's go pick up the homies. So the Giants and Luffy, they're conversating, they talking. And this is when the Giants, they're like, all right, cool, we got you. It's time to sound the horn of retreat. So they go ahead and they hit that ba-woo, ba-woo, ba-woo. And they're like, all right, it's time to get out of here. All the Giants are like, all right, cool. They found Straw Hat. Let's go. To this, the elders, they're like, what are the Giants doing here? Like, this is crazy. Saturn and Workery, they're like, what are they doing here? So they hear the horn, the sound of retreat, and this is where Workery's like, man, nah. See, y'all trying to get up out of here. Y'all trying to sound the horn of retreat, what will allow me to rebuttal. And this is when Saint Workery, top man, he decides to let out a roar that's laced with Conqueror's Haki. And this roar is being felt over the entire island. This roar is being felt on the coast of the island. We got Marines coming on like, what's going on? What's happening? What's happening right now? Why is this island going crazy? And then we got niggas passing out, the weak-willed niggas, they passing out from this roar. Then we cut back to Dory and Broggy and Luffy. And Dory and Broggy, they had to raise the shields. They like, oh shit, what's going on? Luffy, he takes the full force of this, point blank, and Toon for Shenanigans ensue. Luffy not only loses his hat, his sandals, his eyes, and his scars, but he is also like, what? Wow, this is just, whoa. Hold on there, buddy. This is a lot. Luckily, I believe it's Broggy catches, or Dory, rather, it's Dory. Dory catches his stuff and he's like, you good, Straw Hat? What's going on with you, man? Luffy's sitting here replacing his scars and stuff, putting the stuff back on him. He's like, yeah, you know, that was a close one. putting the scars back on like stickers. Peak comedy. Peak levels of comedy. Let me tell you something. I read that, I laughed out loud. But let's continue. So Workery's not done. He's like, ayo, I'm about to rush and attack. And that's what he does. He rushes in, he attacks, he jumps, and I'm not sure if this is his legs moving in circles real fast or if this man is doing flips in midair. But either way, he comes down, 2 of his tusks have been turned into blades, and he's attacking. The Giants, they already got their shields out, so they hit him with the Sun Shield. Sun Shield defense attack. Both of them. And they going back and forth, they struggling, and they're like, hey, the elders, they're like, hey, do you even know what you're doing right now? Do you know who this man's is? Like, what are y'all doing here? To which both Dory and Broggy reply, like, yeah, of course we know who this is. This our man's. You know what I'm saying? This our buddy. This our guy. We here to help out. And with that, they send this man flying with split Scadalia. I don't know if that's how you say it, but, you know, it's another attack, another named attack from the Giants. And this sends Workery flipping back, lands on his back, and he's like, ah. Then we got Saint Saturn. He hears this reply from the Giants, and he's like, oh, that's your man's? Well, cool. Not only are we going to erase him from history, we're going to erase all y'all from history as well. And proceeds to hit these niggas with the venom bullets. He starts spitting venom bullets out his mouth. Luffy's like, hey, watch out. That's venom. You don't want to get hit by that. Luffy then proceeds to grab a tree, right? More Toon Force shenanigans. He proceeds to whittle the tree down with his teeth into a bat. He then pulls some paint out of nowhere, paints the bat, has a huge 56 on it, you know, Gomu. Then proceeds to pull a batter's cap again from out of nowhere, pulls it down, winds up, and Luffy's now in the 7th inning, bases loaded. He about to knock that grand slam. So he knocks all of these venom bullets back at Saturn, and he's like, hey man, have a taste of your own medicine. And upon contact with the elders, these joints explode. They're like mini nukes. They just explode. To which Dory and Broggy are like, oh yeah, we won, cool, let's go. And Luffy's like, nah man, we gotta get out of here. These niggas can't die. So they're in full retreat now. You know what I'm saying? They're making tactical retreat. And this is when the Giants start asking, they're like, hey man, is he like really, like, are they really immortal? And Luffy's like, honestly, I don't know. All I know is everything I've thrown at them so far, they just keep coming back. And it's actually really annoying. And then the other giant, I believe it's Broggy, he's like, well, you know, shit, I've never heard of any race or ability that can grant that kind of power. But for the record, even though we retreating right now, I'm still counting this as a victory. You know what I'm saying? This is still a W on the Giant scorecard. You feel me? So, that's happening. As that is happening, we, hold on. I got to check the notes. We're going to come right back. You know what I'm saying? But just know, Giants count as a W. Everybody on the island is trying to escape. we do get a little mini map that shows where everybody at, where everybody is in relation to the escape goal point, which is the northeast coast where the giant ship is at. So we do get a mini map with a little placements of Nami and Usopp's group, Luffy's group, Sanji's group, Frankie and Bonnie's group. The only group we do not see on that map is Zoro and Jinbei. But I'm assuming that's just because they're about to meet up with Frankie and with Nami and Usopp. So we'll see. But stay tuned. We must continue. There is more news to deliver. All right, I'm back, and we are going to continue. So after we see that Luffy, Dory Bragi, they're in retreat, we cut up to the Labo phase where we briefly see Nami, and she's asking Jinbei and Zoro where they at. Like, where are y'all? Are y'all on the way? Like, y'all need to hurry up. Jinbei replies, like, we're on the way, we're coming. And he starts running. He starts booking it. He's like, running is faster than this flying shit anyway. Let's just get there. So we see that. Then we cut. We briefly see Sanji. He's still running. Got Vegapunk on his shoulders. He's dead. But we then cut to Bonnie's group. Bonnie's group has just reached the ship. But there is a small, slight problem. 3 vice admirals are in front of the giant ship, and they're like, hey, yo, you're not going nowhere. It's your time to die, Jewelry Bonnie. So, we know that Jewelry Bonnie, Frankie's group, they're the closest to the ship. They're right in front of the ship right now. We know Sanji's en route. Sanji's the second closest. So, what I would hope is about to happen is we get some Atlas Frankie giant team up where they're defending against the vice admirals. Also, I hope we see Bonnie activate some of her Nika-ish future powers, because now that she knows that Nika is real, them powers about to be off the chain. But what I'm hoping is they are enough to stall until Sanji can arrive and then clean up, what's going on. But after we see this, we see Kizaru, and he has not moved. Luffy threw him like a pizza. He landed on the ship, and he's been laying there ever since. So I'm gonna say he's out of the fight for right now. He's done. He's called it a day. It's 5 o'clock. It's quitting time. He's clocking out. So the Marines are like, hey man, you're injured. Like, do you need help? What's going on? And Kizaru's like, yeah, I'm injured. My wounds run deep. Just leave me alone right now. Let me lay here. I'm off the clock. Oh, Kizaru, man. There are people that feel sympathy for this man. I feel nothing. You made your choice, my nigga. You had several opportunities to not do the thing that you did not want to do. But no, you chose your job. You chose to follow orders. You chose to kill your nigga in his crib by the check. Let that sink in, my friend. Let that sink in. But before we get to the end of the chapter, we do see St. Mars pulling up on York. And he's like, hey, tell me, where is the room that's being displayed on this monitor? York, understandably, is freaking out because Mars is a giant bird demon yokai creature that is now talking to her, and she has never seen this before. She's like, does not compute. You're scaring me. You're scaring the hoes, Mars. But yeah, she's scared. She's like, okay, well, I guess we're doing this now. So that's happening also. Real quick, let me check my notes. I don't believe I missed anything that has happened or anything that's going on with this chapter. Actually, yes, I did. But it's just the ending scene of the chapter, so we're going to get to that. But before I get to that, I just want to address this. York, I can't stand York. How do you betray yourself that thoroughly that you're getting pieces of yourself killed? You know what I'm saying? Like, where's the advantage here? What kind of mental processing had to happen for her to be like, you know what? Fuck these other me's. I'm gonna be evil. Crazy. But last scene of the chapter, we get the Iron Giant. He's finally risen. He's in the middle of the island. The Marines are seeing him. They're like, hey, what's that? It's something bigger than a giant on the island in the midst of the flames. The Iron Giant's just... And right before the chapter ends, we see this Iron Giant that's apparently has its own sentience apologize to Joy Boy. Why are you apologizing, Iron Giant? What are you sorry for? We don't find out this chapter, but I'm sure we will find out eventually. And when we do, I will be here to report on it. But this is where the chapter ends. We got a lot of things to talk about. Toon Force Luffy being in full effect. The Gorosei taking damage but still not dying. Fucking the Iron Giant. Zoro putting Lucci on a t-shirt. Wanting to put Lucci on a t-shirt because he was still standing. Not moving, just standing. Like, it's a lot to eat this chapter. Plus, we got even more questions that need to be answered. So, once again, I'd like to thank you for joining us on today's Sly Report. I am your host, Gold D Rings, first mate of the Gold Fang crew. This has been the news. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And we will see you next time.